Okay, hello guys. It's good to have you all. Welcome to the webinar series brought to you by MAHSA University. And it is fantastic to see many of you join us today. So I'm Diana, your speaker today. I'm a lecturer in the Center for Foundation Studies in MAHSA University. And for today, I'm going to talk about interdisciplinary studies. Okay, so it seems to be a buzzword in education, and one of that gets thrown around quite a lot these days. But what is actually interdisciplinary studies really mean, and what is so desirable? So this type of study, which is the interdisciplinary, okay, allows you, the students, to learn by making connection between the ideas, the concept across different disciplinary boundaries. So the students that learn in this way, okay, actually are able to apply the knowledge gained in one discipline to another different discipline as a way to deepen the learning experience. So the most effective approach to the interdisciplinary studies enables students to build your own interdisciplinary pathway by choosing courses that make sense to you. So for example, it is not too difficult, okay, to find a team which crosses over disciplinary boundaries in literature, arts and history, or science or maths. So studying topics thematically is one way to bring the ideas together, resulting more meaningful studies. Okay, so this can occur by allowing yourself to choose your own subjects, and your learning is deepened when you reflect on the connection between what you are learning in different disciplines. So one of the biggest barriers to achieve the true interdisciplinary studies in education environments is the necessity for the collaborations of educators. Okay, so this can be difficult to achieve, but I don't think it's impossible. Interdisciplinary teaching and learning will be maximized when professionals from different disciplines can work together to serve a common purpose and to help students make a connections, okay, between the different disciplines or different subject areas. So such interaction is in support of the constructive paradigm, which allow for new knowledge construction and a deeper understanding for the ideas than disciplinary studies. So it's a kind of the history, okay, before the interdisciplinary studies. It's quite controversial. So until the Industrial Revolutions, education was dominated by the religions and the classical texts. Okay, so exploring questions of the morality and a higher truth. But with the advent of technology at the end of the 9th centuries, the education was expected to prepare workers for the rapidly industrializing economy. So specialized education was really in high demand, changing the structure of the many colleges and universities across the world. So around this time, disciplines were divided into sub-disciplines like chemistry and anthropology. And many universities will emphasize their disciplinary resources and research facilities. So knowledge transformed from the experience to a product. So the rise of these specializations has created a codependent relationship between the students and society, reinforcing pre-existing system and making it more difficult to enact change. So many students pursue higher education to learn a specific skills, okay, or trade because they have the expectation that there's a need for their skill or trade in a society at large. So over a past few decades, many advent of the technological revolution, the negative consequences of a specialized education are becoming more apparent. demonstrating that graduates need more than one kind of skills if they want to compete in today's market. So graduates, okay, with degrees in art history may seem a face value less desirable than the students who graduate with degrees in the computational studies and the biologies, okay? But a science or technology or engineering or the math degree does not guarantee for a job. So if the applicant can't work in team, write a grant, or engage meaningfully with the other people, you may be turned away from your job or your career may not flourish. So educators or us believe at the turn of the 20th centuries, the 18-year-old students, you, okay, had reached the age of autonomy and should be trusted to make your own educational choices. So by 18, most of you are excited about the life and eager to experience what it has to offer, which is why you should be shown to all of the options. Why should anyone, such as lecturers, academicians, or otherwise, tell the 18-year-old students what they should or what they should not learn? Okay? So the education actually explorations, a phenomenon that cannot be neatly packaged and universally distributed. So many students entering college for the first time, such as pre-university studies, the foundation, may be surprised by the way it changed their thinking, changed their identity, and changed their perspective. The unique environment created by the residential college life, it is incredible experiments for most young. Okay, it is such a transformative experience for so many people that it seems almost irrational to expect students to know what they want from it before they arrive. So interdisciplinary studies will allow students to enter colleges and assume the role of the captain in their personalized exploration of knowledge. So the interdisciplinary studies expert believe that the interdisciplinary studies is actually a novelty that will reinvert higher education. So by giving you, the students, the opportunity to bridge disciplines, new connections are forged and important contributions are made to the world of higher education and beyond. So students actually are able to combine the multiple disciplines and pursue different ways of thinking about the same problem or subject. So it is a revolutionary way of learning that actually encourage cross-disciplinary collaborations that enable students to develop critical thinking skills and presents many real-world opportunities for growth. So despite the advantages, as I mentioned, there will be a disadvantages that interdisciplinary students may face. Okay, so one of the biggest barriers to achieve the true interdisciplinary study is the education environment in the necessity for the collaboration of educators. So one of the capstone of the higher education is the collaboration between students, professors, and advisors. So departments are made of people working towards the same goal, taking the similar classes and exchange similar ideas. So interdisciplinary students are removed from that common core experience of education that will create a personalized layout of themselves. So one of the benefits of the common trajectory is the sense of that community will bring to education is a sense that interdisciplinary students may not experience in the same way that traditional students experience. So, how about the benefit of interdisciplinary studies in the workplace? Okay, because it is assumed, okay, it is normal for our students, once they finish study, they will go to a workplace. So, according to an article published by the Forbes magazine, businesses are looking for someone who is confident in themselves and what they want in career, confident in the successful tasks they have completed, knowing the strength, independent thinkers, ambitious problem solvers, goal-oriented proactive workers, works well on team, enjoys new things, and finally, someone who is reliable and responsible. So these are the combinations or things that make up a phenomenal employee that any employer would like to hire. So graduating with a career-oriented degree like business. It might help for a recent graduate to find us straight out of school, but will the student succeed at their job over time? So if a student, okay, go to school and pursue a single degree without challenging their minds with a different perspective and disciplines, and they depriving themselves of a brilliant opportunity to grow as the individual. So one of the clear benefit of the interdisciplinary degree is for students to learn how they learn and the way of their brains work. So by challenging themselves with a variety of educational experience, interdisciplinary students become a better critical thinker, will gain more self-awareness, and grow more confident in the way of brains work and who they are as a people. So despite these clear benefits of the interdisciplinary studies, many politicians and educators will continue to cut resources to the humanities, arguing that an education should be skill-based and career-oriented. So sad. So by removing disciplines like philosophy or English or art history from colleges and university, lawmakers are depriving students of the opportunity to think a varieties of ways. So the student who graduate with the, or let's say, anthropology degree, okay, may not pursue a career in anthropology, but their degrees have prepared them to critically analyze different cultures and traditions, to synthesize those observations and record clear opinions about them. So these are skills that can be used in a variety of ways and actually applications. So let's example, okay, for example, the ability to empathize and relate to another cultural identity is actually a critical for a company that trying to market a product. So by cutting resources to the thought and emotional based learning, politicians actually are stripping away a wonderful opportunity for the students to develop their minds and the 8 kinds of the intelligence. So there's a study conducted by the William Newell and James that published in 1988. Okay, says that researchers found the students who study interdisciplinary are more likely to develop effective cognitive skills, reading, writing, speaking, and thinking skills, and also the higher curiosity for learning, more creativity and originality in thought processes, and there's an ability to integrate between the traditional ideas with the current ideas. So the benefits of finding creative and integrative way to combine disciplines far outweigh the disadvantages of the interdisciplinary. So, how do we do the interdisciplinary? Or in the common language, we can say that why do I need to learn this? I will never use in real life. The answer will be the relevancy of education is often overlooked by the students, especially the young students who have not yet graduated from the high school. So relevancy is actually the essential component of the interdisciplinary. First, what does it mean for something to be relevant? According to the Oxford University Dictionary, relevancy is bearing on or connected with the matter in hand, closely relating to the subject or point and issue, pertinent to a specific thing, or in other words, relevancy is constantly changing and dependent on the present moment. So one of the biggest downfalls of the modern education is the restrictive and controlling aspect of it. Okay, so if students are not engaged with the subject because they believe it is irrelevant, no amount of force will change their mind. And if they do not change their mind, the decision will come from outside, not from themselves. So if relevancy is correlated with time and circumstances, then the student may think differently about algebra or the Gulf War in 5 or 10 years. Okay, but the decisions should come from them for it to be more meaningful, more beneficial for experience. Actually, education is real. Okay, education is not a simulation preparing student for the imaginary destination. Students that arrive at the destination when they open their eyes for the first time, took their first step, tried their first carrot, or look up at the sky for the first time, wondering why the sky is blue. So the activity, whether it's studying, hitting the treadmill, or the drama group, community service, or one of the student group they found and joined in the great numbers is rarely an end itself. It is means for the self-improvement, resume building, and enrichment. So college or the university is not just one step on the continuous stairway of the advancement. And they're always aware that they must get to the next step, whether in the degree in law or the MBBS or wherever, so they can progress up to the steps after that. So if students or you are living your life in preparation for the life, so when you will start living? When do rules and regulation will pay off? The answer will be never. So if students are not free to be curious, to be engaged, and to be invested in what they are learning, then they may be curious, engaged, or invested in their life. So education actually is about more than passing a test or being accepted in the right school. It's about the self-discovery and personal growth as you individual. So how does actually the interdisciplinary fit in? So interdisciplinary studies is actually a destructive ideology that takes control away from the educators and puts it where it belongs, in the hands of you. Work now, play later, send a message to the students that now is never good enough, that education will be relevant later. The goal of interdisciplinary is to be relevant now. By pursuing the interdisciplinary studies in the college or university, students are able to develop important skills like solving the complex problems and thinking out of the box. So they develop these skills because there's no predetermined curriculum, okay, waiting for them when they start their first day of university. Interdisciplinary students create a plan that combines all their interests into a single personalized major. So students who follow this format learn more about themselves and what they want from their educational experience than students who passively accept all the predetermined curriculum based on a single field studies. So interdisciplinary students are actually actively engaged with their education, involved in every decision that has been made. So it's all on them. Actually, it's all on them. So due to the responsibilities associated with the interdisciplinary, students must learn how to make concrete decisions, how to effectively combine multiple disciplines into a cohesive major, and how to know what they want. And suddenly, the education will be relevant again. So the skills that interdisciplinary students learn by simply being the interdisciplinary majors are relevant in every facet of their life, not just during their pre-university days. Okay, so as noted in the previous chapter, employers like employees who know what they want, confident with their decisions, think independently, know their strengths and weakness, and they are curious about their life. So many post-graduation opportunities don't even ask about students' major in college because they are more interested in who candidates are as a people. So a person who is genuinely interested in what they are currently doing is much more variable to the organization than a person who is doing something as a means just to be in. So how actually do we do this interdisciplinary? Most, if not every system in the world depends on the interdisciplinary to function. Okay, as example, a doctor can't diagnose his patient with a specific disease if he doesn't understand how the entire human body works. Or the mall, let's say Aeon Mall, cannot be operated if there's no manufacturer supplying them with the goods or accountants to monitor their spending or don't have people to buy their product. Or we can say that an auto mechanic needs to understand how cars works in their entirely to fix a very simple problem. So everything in this world are related. So every detail is a tiny pieces to a very large, complicated whole. So if people want to success in their life, you, the students, do want to success in your life, it makes sense to understand a big picture, which is in the world interdisciplinary. So the interconnected of life is actually so complex and massive that it almost seems counterintuitive to teach students a single discipline, completely separated from one another. So the question, how do we do interdisciplinary, is a rhetorical question because everyone is always already doing it. Okay? So now the questions become, How do we combine interdisciplinary and education to make learning more relevant? So interdisciplinary studies is actually a complicated, collaborative approach to a student. As with any integrative system, there are bound to be challenges. So actually, there will be 5 major barriers that block the interdisciplinary students from success. There will be attitude, communication, academic structure, funding, and also career development. Okay. In addition, there are some cross-disciplinary challenges that can arise, like organizational issues and also different in disciplinary procedure. Okay, so I will go one by one. So the first barrier that facing the interdisciplinary students is actually the attitude. The attitude barrier is actually a behavior or perception that prevents students or employee from effectively communicate. In the case of interdisciplinary studies, an attitude barrier will be a scholar or researcher who has no interest in collaborating with other disciplines or people. In every discipline, there's a jargon. Okay, so the special keywords that particular groups use to communicate. Jargon poses a threat to cross-disciplinary collaboration because people can't communicate with each other if they can't understand each other. So the communication barrier poses a unique challenge to the interdisciplinary. Is collaboration possible without a common language? No, right? The third one will be the academic departments. Provide the resources and tools that students need to be successful in their fields. So, but every department has their own programs. They have faculties, they have staff, they have organizations that it needs to advance learning within its given field. But sometimes the structures across departments do not align with one another. Okay? So it's making the interdisciplinary collaboration as still as a challenge. The fourth one will be the within a college or university, funds are normally allocated by the department, not to the college or university as a collaborative whole, meaning promotion and tenure policies are also departmentally granted. So the prospect of a promotion is actually a major motivator for many scholars. But to qualify for more promotions, okay, most scholars need to make a substantial departmental contribution. So an interdisciplinary contribution might not qualify a professor for tenure in any department because his study is not a formal subject attached to a single discipline. The last but not least, the career development. So, an overachieving fear of the interdisciplinary is a 10,000 hour rules, meaning the interdisciplinary students might graduate as a master of nothing. Instead of graduating with a comprehensive understanding of a single discipline like anthropology, economics, they graduate with a smattering of knowledge spread across many fields. So, despite the barriers that standing in the way of the interdisciplinary, most college students that enter their first level of university life, which is the pre-university studies, are not affected by them. Okay, so for many students and future scholars, the pre-university studies is actually the introduction to the world of learning. It teaches students valuable collaborative skills and introduce them to the possibilities of education. So a pre-university studies is actually a great way for you to learn about yourself, how your minds work, and what you want to do after you finish. Even for you, enters a pre-university college with a clear idea of what you want to do, you probably change your mind along the way. So that's it. It's okay. It's all right. That's the nature of growing up. Interdisciplinary studies. Okay, I may conclude here that interdisciplinary studies allows you to experiment and ask questions. It's really encourage you to follow your own heart and enjoy your life experiences. Learning should be the exploratory and fun, exactly what interdisciplinary studies is trying to do. So this approach is sure to foster a love of learning, initiate a spark of excitement, and address learning difference for the students. So choosing to focus on the interdisciplinary studies may help you, the students, to produce the academic program that aligns with you, with your future career goals. So that's all for me, and thank you for joining us today. If you are interested to be part of the MAHSA University, please like and share, and leave a comment in the comment sections, and do not forget to fill in the form. So see you soon, and thank you. Bye bye.